What is cultural competency? Alrighty, so this is kind of a weird topic because it goes above and beyond just psychiatry and practice management and all this stuff. But this came up this week because this is Black History Month 2023, and we'll talk more about this, my personal and professional feelings as part of the topic of the week in just a little bit. But cultural competency. So way back when this was starting to kind of be a catchphrase thing, it was very much like, do you recognize, as a clinician, do you recognize who you're talking to and how their upbringing and circumstance influences their medical presentation. And so you need to take that into consideration so that then you can adjust how you teach and support that person so that the information and support is relevant, and that person will be more likely to not only believe what you say, but follow through on whatever the treatment plan is. And so this idea of cultural competency has changed. There's lots of now different iterations of it with this kind of new movement of DEIB, diversity, equity, inclusion, acceptance, and belonging. There's lots of different acronyms of all different kinds of things, but the idea is still the core is meet the person where they're at. And so the hiccup is, especially when it comes to nowadays, it's a lot easier to do that if you're part of that subgroup, if you're part of that, call it minority or specialty group or whatever. So if you're Black, if you're a woman, LGBTQ plus, or whatever, you tend to be able to relate to other people in that same subgroup. That is not to say that you're an expert in it. And so being able to go beyond just your lived experience, right? So I'm a Black guy. I know what it's like to be a Black guy from East Texas, but I have zero idea what it's like to be a Black person up in Chicago, which is a whole different thing. And so if I go and train in Chicago or try to treat in Chicago, that's a slightly different culture that I need to learn about and take into account. Same thing with age. How I interact with some of my older patients is very different than how I interact with some of my younger patients. And so having that cultural competence, that wherewithal, that awareness is really important. The hiccup is a lot of training programs are slow to change. And so it takes years, decades even, to start to really have those fundamental changes in the curricular infrastructure, the scaffold of how things are taught. And if you're not trained in it, or if the same people have been doing the same teaching for the last 30 years, you're probably not going to be changing that person's skill set unless they are actively going out and seeking to be trained in how to do it. They're probably not going to do it. And so, and again, I don't know if that's an indictment for them or not, but there's a big push right now to have more culturally relevant, more culturally aligned treatment and treatment options. But I'm here to tell you, if you don't find the teachers in the workforce, it ain't going to work. And how do you find the teachers in the workforce? You need to pay for it, because nothing like that is free. And so, especially in Texas, higher education, hospitals, community systems of care, if you want a higher level of cultural competence of your workforce, you need to invest in that workforce. And so, again, it comes back to money. So, yeah, that healthcare finance system rears its stupid head again. And so how do we fix it? Again, you're going to have to stand up and demand those things. Demand it from people who are in charge, demand it from your representatives, and then make sure you patronize those places that do it and do it well. Because when you give them money in the form of a service or a product, they can turn around and use that money to hire more culturally competent people. Yay! So like for me personally, there's a certain, if I want a certain skill set, be that in the marketing department or be that with the diversity of the doctors I have to spend extra money to go out and find those people. It takes me more time and more diligence, and I'm literally just emailing and asking, and it's more resource intensive. And so in order to get a return on that intensive work, you're going to have to pay for it, right? So think about it. Nothing in this world is free. And so, yeah, cultural competence, go team.